Hey guys, editing Ronan here, jumping in real quick, just to let you know that originally this guide was going to be split into two parts. That's no longer the case. It's just going to be part two. I'm no longer doing part one. I really just wasn't happy with how things turned out in the filming process or the editing process. I just wasn't happy. I am going to be reworking part one into another video. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you are so that way you don't miss out on that, and enjoy the rest of the guide, and I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away. Hey guys, it is the Gaming Ronin, and I am back with part 2 of my Annihilation guide for 7.2. If you're just jumping in here and wondering what I'm talking about, I have split up Annihilation into two parts because there's pretty much two ways to play now. You can do a pretty simple way with using Juyoren and Blood Fury, and it has pretty good resource building. It's not that complicated. It definitely makes better use of the rotation because you don't have to worry about building Fury as much, which is really nice. But it does have a bit of a rage issue, and that's kind of its pitfall. Whereas here we have a fury problem. So there is quite a bit to talk before we get into the rotation, just because I want to explain to you the issues you're going to run into when you do use this way of playing Annihilation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, break it all down for you, and really help you get back some consistency, because that's going to be the main point of this video, is getting you consistency. All right, I'm not going to break down what ability tree options that you need to be taking besides Draining Center and Bleeding Center. We are going to talk in length a little bit about those. Everything else at this point, if you guys are watching this, you know what to choose. You don't need me to break that down for you, especially because I broke it down in part one, which is one of the nice things about having a part one. So let's just, and I'm just for general use, I'm swapping back to Cloak of Retribution. Draining Center, right. So it's been changed from 7.1 prior. 7.2 changed it. It, instead of doing 4 times damage, it now does 2 times damage, as well as it will heal you for 50% of the damage that you do. So if Force Friend does 30k damage, you will get healed for 15k, which is really nice. It actually does give you make you more of a healer now. Kind of insane. Unfortunately, we did lose the 10 Fury building that we had prior 7.2 that is now on Juyoren. And something we're going to ignore and pretend doesn't exist because it makes me sad. And so that means, because we don't have that 10 Fury building, though, that means we can no longer combine Draining Center with Furious Power or Blood Fury, because you're going to be Fury starved. You are going to have issues building back Fury. It's going to take you a really long time. And so we now want to be taking Bleeding Center when we choose Draining Center. Bleeding Center has also been changed so that Berserk immediately builds you for Rage on use, on top of its existing ability, which was critically hitting with periodic bleed damage, so all of your dots builds you to Fury. And that can't occur more than once every 2 seconds. And that's kind of our problem. Is that right there? That little line of text, that last line of text, this effect cannot occur more than once every 2 seconds. If it was like more than once every second, or you built 3 Fury or even 4 Fury, our issue would be solved. There would be almost no reason to have a simplified way of playing Annihilation, because Bleeding Center would be the end-all be-all. It would be the best pick, along with Draining Center. But because it doesn't build us more Fury, and because it takes 2 seconds before you can build Fury again, we're actually rather Fury starved. It actually takes a little while, and so On top of that, because we're not getting that extra 10 Fury just for using Force Rend, we're starting back at 0 the moment we activate Berserk. One of the nice things is that uh, Bleeding Center does work through Berserk, so you will build Fury on critically hitting bleeds even if Berserk is active. That's one of the nicer things. But at max, you get 4 charges of Fury, or 4 stacks of Fury. And so you're essentially having to build 26 stacks of Fury within about 6 seconds. 6.5 seconds, if you're lucky. And that's kind of our problem. Is we got to build a lot of Fury in a very short amount of time because uh, this wonderful draining center only works when Berserk is active. If you activate Force Rend outside of Berserk, this isn't happening. So you want to have Berserk active before Draining Center, which means you really want to have your 30 stack before Force Rend comes off cooldown. And Force Rend, for me, has an 11.1 second cooldown. So you're going to have to use more Fury building attacks than you're used to. And you're going to have to really break some of the habits that from playing the simplified way, because once most of you probably, once you got down to like 3 stacks of rage, probably hit a battering assault, probably hit an assault, did something to build rage just to be on the safe side and just keep things up. Maybe you're using overwhelming slashes, you hit a ravage, you you did all this rage building. Now that's going to work against you, because if you take time, if you really put time into building rage, that's really going to hurt you, because now it's going to take you longer to build your Fury, and that means it's going to be longer before you activate Berserk, which means you're not going to be activating Force Rend because Berserk's not active, and you're waiting to use Force Rend because before you want your Berserk active. These two are tied together in this way of playing Annihilation, all because of this draining center, and it's well worth doing. Having a 30k hitting dot on top of still doing a dot is really powerful. That's a lot of damage that it's doing. So this is why that's tied, and that's why I kind of had you guys using the same rotation for the simplified way of playing and the more complicated way of playing, because you're now prepared to kind of make that transition, because you're used to doing Berserk and then Force Rend. It's just, instead of having a nice 8-second window, 7.5-second window to get your Berserk active before ready to go before Force Rend's cooldown is refreshed, you're now down to 6 seconds, and you will go right on the line, and it really no longer matters when Berserk is ready, so long as it's ready before Force Rend. You can absolutely do Berserk and then follow up immediately with a Force Rend. You're going to be doing that a lot from now on, and that's just how it's going to go. The one nice thing, though, is that both of these now, thanks to Bleeding Center, will build you 4 rage. So Berserk will build you 4 rage, and then because you're following up with Force Rend, not always, that's not always going to be the case, but you're going to follow up with Force Rend relatively close. That will build you another 4 rage, and so you're actually going to have a lot of rage. So a lot of time you'll actually max out on rage quite often. And so you have 12 rage from the moment your Berserk charges go away to build all of your to build back your Fury and then be able to use Berserk again. So that is one of the nice trade-offs, is you traded off easy Fury building for some easy rage building. And so you're gonna be able to push more into using more of your Fury building abilities, like just spamming away with Vicious Slash, and then just build everything back up by using Berserk and Force Rend. That is one of the nicer things, and you're gonna need to build that habit and trust yourself. Like, okay, I have three rage left. Vicious Slash. Sometimes it'll work out because you'll get that critically hitting bleed, and that 2 Fury you're missing will get filled, and then you're like, oh, thank God, my Berserk is here. I can now use Force Run just as it comes off cooldown. That'll happen quite often. Not every time, but it will happen. And then just real quick, I do want to go over it again. Um, for this, we are going to be using Devastating Vengeance because we want to crit more often. We are after consistency. That for Annihilation in 7.2 matters far more than any kind of damage modification for the most part. Obviously, we want to take Draining Center because it's our most powerful damage modification. So that obviously we prioritize that. But anything that's going to help us build consistency matters a lot. So Devastating Vengeance is makes you crit more often. That means your bleeds are going to crit more often. That means you're going to build more fury more often. It's not going to be perfect every single time, but it's more often, it's more consistent than what you get from utilizing Focus Threat, because we still want to use Serendipitous Assault, because Serendipitous Assault increases our power. Our power lets us do more damage. So you want to combine these two. To go along with that, of course, we still want to be using Dispatcher, which actually plays nicely into Devastating Vengeance. Because of Devastating Vengeance, we're going to crit more often with our melee attacks. And when we crit with our melee attacks, once every 3 seconds, we can build 1 rage. So that's also really handy. That means more rage for us as well. And then, of course, Berserker's Call. That none of this has changed. Okay, but you definitely want to be taking Devastating Vengeance over Focused Ret. And then I know I said it wasn't, but Brazen. You can take Cloak of Retribution if you really want to help yourself out. This is your choice. Do not take Thirst for Rage. Absolutely don't take Interceptor, but definitely don't take Thirst for Rage. Take Brazen. Okay. And then also, kind of like in the last video, Blood Wave over Rupturing Rage, because you're not going to do Rupture during a Berserk. That's just not going to happen. Don't waste your time on this at all. Take Blood Wave. Give yourself an extra AoE. And then if you don't need Predation, you can also take Overwhelming Slashes, so that way your Ravage guarantees you 1 rage building. If you don't need Predation, just swap over to Overwhelming Slashes. It will help out, but for a lot of fights, Predation is more useful and has better raid utility. Alright, so promise that's it. We're moving on to the rotation. All right, and like I said, this is literally the same rotation as before. If you guys watched the part 1, I already kind of went over how I do my opening and how I do my pre-battle. I don't really count Force Charge as part of the opener because you're more than likely just doing it anyway. So just as a Marauder, especially if you've been playing Marauder for a long time, just something you do. You just leap in. So I don't really usually count Force Charge as part of the opener. Not only that, at this point, guys, you should already know my spiel about hidden power, how it's so useful. And then you guys should also already know how to use your Berserk and your Frenzy pre-battle, also Bloodthirst and Frenzy pre-battle. I shouldn't have to explain that at this point. So we're just going to go right into it. Annihilate, Rupture, Deadly Saber, Ravage, Berserk, Dual Saber Throw, Force Rend. That is going to be your opening line before we go into our repeating line. And I just want to talk about one thing really quickly. First of all, Ravage and Dual Saber Throw, those are technically filler slots. You don't have to do those abilities. It's just really nice for a couple reasons. One, Ravage not going to eat away your rage. And if you're not only that, since it's early on, your relic should be active, which means your Devastating Vengeance relic is active, which means Ravage has a pretty high chance of critically hitting, which means you're going to build rage off of that Ravage if you have any rage slots open at that point. Not only that, Berserk will also instantly build you, will kind of fill in on your rage thanks to Bleeding Center. Remember, it now builds you for rage. And then same thing with dual saber throw. It's not going to eat away any of your rage. And if it critically hits and you still have a rage slot open, it will probably critically hit and it will fill in. Um, the thing is, though, you kind of want to use this regardless of whether it's procced or not. The reason for that is Dispatcher's Challenge, which is the buff you get thanks to your Dispatcher's implant, and that's going to make our next line because the first ability in the rotation that we're going to use, kind of guaranteed, is going to be Vicious Slash, and that's going to make that Vicious Slash critically hit for anywhere of 22k to possibly 30k, and so it's going to hit nice and hard, and then it'll do its regular damage. But you're opening your repeating line with a hard hitting, critically guaranteed critically hitting attack. But the dual saber throw does not have to be dual saber throw. That can be Vicious Slash, Force Scream, Annihilate if it's available that soon, which it shouldn't be. It should still be going through its cooldown. It can be a Rupture, be a Smash, a Sweeping Slash, whatever. But dual saber throw is kind of the best ability to use in that spot. And then, of course, we end it with Force Rend. Then we're going to move on to the repeating line. All right. So, once again, if you haven't watched part 1, I am using Vicious Slash here in this line as kind of just the blanket symbol of filler. Every single one of these Vicious Slashes is filler. What that means is basically it could be any ability. It could be Vicious Slash, Sweeping Slash, Vicious Slash, Smash, Battering Assault, then Deadly Saber, then an Annihilate, Berserk, a Vicious Slash, Force Rend, Restart, follow up with a Dual Saber Throw, and then a Vicious Slash, Vicious Slash, Vicious Slash, Annihilate, Deadly Saber, Battering Assault, Berserk, whatever ability, Force Rend. Okay, I'm not saying you're doing 5 Vicious Slashes of Dual Saber, a Deadly Saber, a Vicious Slash, a Berserk, Vicious Slash, then Force Rend. No, this is just plain and simply I'm just using Vicious Slash as the emblem for filler. You're gonna be doing whatever you can, and odds are, like 80% chance, the filler is gonna be Vicious Slash, because you need to build your Fury. You got to do it. Fury building is so much more important than Rage building, because, like I said earlier, you have a small window to get it built, so that way when you reach that Berserk, it's good to go before that Force Rend comes off cooldown. And odds are it will probably be just before the Force Rend is good to go. Okay? We're on RNG now. When your Fury is all set and ready to go, it's gonna be random. You have no guarantees that you're gonna be able to follow this repeating line 100% of the time, every single time. That's just not gonna happen. There are gonna be moments when you're gonna need to do an extra GCD because you ran out of rage and you didn't fully build all of your Fury. That is going to happen. Everything that I've talked about so far is kind of here's how a way to mitigate that from happening. So, if you can imagine, if you didn't, if let's say I did a battering assault and a dual saber throw in that line, I had imagine it being in number 4, number 5. That's not Fury building. I'm now going to have to do 2 extra Fury building attacks before that Force Rend goes off, before I can activate Berserk, because Berserk's not activatable. And that is very real. That can absolutely happen. The reason we're using Devastating Vengeance is because we're trying to increase the odds of our bleeds critically hitting. That is the goal. We are trying to achieve this repeating line every single time. But it's not going to happen every single time. That's why this is complicated. A lot of you are going to get frustrated. You're going to need to spend a lot of time on that dummy and just practice. Go through it. Get used to it. And once you get used to it, you're going to really be able to make use of that small window you have in Force Rend's cooldown. And you're going to find spots where you can build rage and still be absolutely fine. You will, because you're used to it. You're going to be able to see, like, okay, cool, I'm pretty much out of rage, but I've got 2 seconds left on Force Rend. I can do a battering assault, hit my vicious slash, activate berserk, Force Rend. Just as Force Rend comes off cooldown, you manage to fit all of those 3 things prior Force Rend to happen. Okay, but it's gonna take practice, and trust me, I've been very frustrated with this change. I don't like it. I would like it if Bioware did a little bit more to kind of help us out with the Fury building. Like I said, if they changed that to the that 2 Fury to 3 Fury, I think it would solve all of our problems. They could even keep this effect cannot occur more than once every 2 seconds. I would even give up to 4 Rage if they made the Fury 4 Fury. And or if it would just help. It would go a long way because we wouldn't have to build as much Fury. But for now, we have to build a lot of Fury. You're really gonna have to trust yourself and break your instincts. Like, you need to build Fury when your instincts are screaming build Rage. Unless you have 0 rage or just 1 rage, you're using a rage building attack, or you're using a Fury building attack. If you have 2 rage, that is a smash or a rupture. Use them. Okay? It's okay. Then use the and if berserk, and if you're at 28 or you're at 26 Fury, and that you only had 2 rage, you activate rupture or smash, you get your 30 sec, activate your 30 sec, activate your Force Rend, and you keep in line with this repeating line. You're able to just go right back into it, and that berserk and Force Rend just built you 8 rage. Not only that, you can now also use a battering assault, and you maxed out your rage, and you're back in it. So definitely, build more Fury. This is me saying, waste your rage and build Fury. You need to be able to do that and break your instincts and turn your instincts into build Fury. Worry about rage if I really just absolutely cannot do anything. That is how you're going to want to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my parses. I'm actually going to really try here, have a really solid parse, just to kind of show you guys what I'm doing and all that. And each line is going to be different. I may have some similar lines, but virtually every single line is going to be different from the moment I get into my second line of repeating the core. Okay. And unfortunately, that's really all I can do to help you guys. It's just tell you to practice, because it's going to take a lot of practice. This is, it sucks that this is the state Annihilation is currently in, because prior to this change in 7.2, Fury was actually, or Annihilation was actually was really kind of easy to use, and now it's just sadly kind of hard to use. So let me go ahead and get everything set up, and I'll see you in the parse. All right, guys, we are all set to go. I'm not going to break it down like I did in the simplified way of playing Annihilation. I'm just going to go. So I'll see you in 5 minutes. Alright guys, and there we go. A pretty fairly good 32k parse. We were up and down, dipping into 31k for some good lengths of time, but for the most part 32k, and we even printed our way back into just over 32k, which I'm pretty happy about. That's actually probably my third best parse that I've done, so pretty happy with that. Don't always get to break over 32k. Usually mid 31k, maybe a little high 31k 0.8 k parse. But as you saw, guys, there were a lot of times I went really freaking low on rage. And that's okay. It's okay to get that low. And there were even times where I was like, I had just a little bit of rage left, but I was good on my time. And for my force rend cooldown, and I just pushed, used a battering assault, then followed up, and I only had to do one extra rupture. I think I could have gotten away with something else. I'd have to look back at it, but I probably could have gotten away with not using rupture. I think I did that. I think I had enough time to use a battering assault. And then follow up with a vicious slash to get the berserk, and then get force run as it came off cooldown. But it didn't really hurt things too much in the end there. And that's pretty much what you're aiming to do, and it's not always going to be that. It isn't. There are plenty of times where like I'm just below 30k for no apparent reason other than I'm just not critting. So there I did have some really good crits in that. So don't think that is like every single time I'm mostly 32k part. No, that's not a thing. Yeah, it's something that can happen for sure, but it's not going to be every single time you go through the rotation. It's just not. And so, but Devastating Vengeance definitely did its job. It allowed me to crit. There was even a lucky critical bleed came in just in the nick of time. I think once or twice, and got us to the 30 stack. And that's the RNG. Like there was very high potential that didn't happen. I'd have to do an extra GCD to break over to break over 30k. And if you're wondering what the heck just happened, someone on YouTube just subscribed to me, Crazy Tuner, as you guys saw. I am recording off of my Streamlabs OBS, and it is linked to my YouTube channel. So when someone subscribes, there you go. That happens. So that's what that was about. It took me by surprise too. Trust me, I was not ready for it. But yeah, and that's all I can really say, guys. It's gonna take practice. Gonna have to practice, and you're really gonna have to I definitely recommend getting this all set up. You can go into your preferences, to your UI, and cooldown timings is what you're looking for. Cooldown settings, and you can get this turned on. That is gonna really help you out because we are split seconds here, tenths of a second. You need to know when your shit is ready, as you're playing a dangerous game. You're gambling essentially here, and that's just how it is. That's where the top tier Annihilation is. But that is gonna do it for us today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you're having any issues. I'm more than happy to help you out down in the comments. Also, a huge shout out to DanSWTOR, who helped me out with a lot of things here. He and I talked quite as extensively. His YouTube channel and Twitch channel will be linked down below. Go check him out, guys. Show him some love, because without him, this video would be a lot more rough. Trust me, it would be, and it would probably take even longer to have gotten out to you guys. So definitely show him some love. Let him know that Ronan sent you. And until then, you guys, I will see you in a galaxy far, far away.